In our headlines on this Friday afternoon, August 2nd, here in South Korea. Korea's mixed doubles badminton team is in the finals for the first time in 16 years, while a female athlete is looking to bring home the country's first Olympic medal in boxing. Meanwhile, on the local front, South Korea's inflation accelerates 2.6% on year in the month of July, holding steady within the 2% range for the fourth month in a row. And the World Bank says South Korea is a growth superstar, having overcome the middle income trap by focusing on active investment, broad infusion, and creative innovation to pave a tangible path to growth. Team Korea is making more history at the Paris Olympics, with its mixed doubles badminton team heading to the finals on this Friday for the first time since 2008. Our Kim Seong covers this event and more.
We begin with badminton mixed doubles, where two South Korean teams met in the semifinals on Wednesday. South Korea's Kim Won-ho and Jeong Na-eun beat their compatriots Seo Seung-jae and Chae Yu-jung 2-1 after a thrilling match at La Chapelle Arena in Paris. 25-year-old Kim and 24-year-old Jeong prevailed over last year's World Championship winning pair Seo and Chae in what is their first victory over their compatriots in 6 meetings. The winners Kim and Jeong are set to face world number 1 Zheng Shiwei and Hwang Ya-kyung of China in the gold medal match on Friday. Seo and Chae will compete for bronze against Yuta Watanabe and Arisa Higashino of Japan. Last time South Korea has won an Olympic medal in badminton's mixed doubles was in 2008. Now moving over to boxing, South Korea's Lee Ji has won Team Korea its first boxing medal in 12 years after securing at least a bronze from winning in the women's 54-kilogram quarterfinals on Thursday. 25-year-old Im has also become the first female boxer in Korea to win an Olympic medal. She beat Colombia's Jenny Marcela Arias Castañeda by 3-2 on Thursday evening local time at the North Paris Arena. As Olympic boxing does not play a bronze medal match, even if Im loses the semifinals, she is guaranteed a bronze medal. She is the first Korean boxer to win a medal at the Olympics since Han Sun-chul won a silver in the men's 60-kilogram class in 2012. Lee Ji will face Hatis Akbaş of Turkey in the semifinals on Sunday local time. South Korea's Shin Yu-bin beat Japan's Miyu Hirano 4-3 on Thursday to secure a ticket to the semifinals in the women's singles table tennis. In what was an epic battle, Shin took a 3-game lead but was chased by Hirano, who drew level. Shin then won the tight 7th game with 13 points to 11. 20-year-old Shin is now eyeing her second medal in Paris after winning a bronze in mixed doubles. If she does so, it will be the first for Team Korea in 20 years since Yoo Seung-min won men's gold and Kim Kyung-ah won women's bronze in Athens. Shin Yu-bin will play China's Chen Meng on Friday at 10 a.m. local time in Paris. In gymnastics, famed American gymnast Simone Biles claimed her second Olympic all-around gymnastics title in an epic showdown. Biles scored a 59.131 total to win the gold medal in the women's individual all-around competition, beating Brazil's Rebeca Andrade, who came second with 57.932. Another American, Sunny Lee, won the bronze with 56.465. Biles's win made history as she became the only American gymnast to win gold in an all-around final more than once. Biles won her first title 8 years ago at the Rio Olympics. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
President Yoon Suk-yeol made a fresh round of new appointments earlier On this Friday, Kwon Ki-seop will chair the Economic, Social and Labour Council, while Park Song-taek fills the post status of First Vice Minister for Industry. Also, 3 new governors for the peninsula's northern provinces have been named. Now, these appointments are ceremonial and trace back to Seoul's claim in 1949 to be the legitimate government of the Korean peninsula. Chi Sung-ho, a North Korean defector turned former South Korean lawmaker, will take up the post of governor, in theory, for Hamgyeong-bukdo province in North Korea. Also on Friday, President Yoon invited 5 newly appointed officials and their spouses to the top office for a formal ceremony. They included Kim Won-seop, the new Environment Minister, and Tae Young-ho, the head of the Peaceful Unification Advisory Commission. Findings for the month of July show Korea's inflation holding steady within the 2% range for the 4th month in a row. Our correspondent Moon Hae-ryun reports.
Consumer prices in South Korea are beginning to stabilize, with inflation hovering in the 2% range for 4 months straight. Data from Statistics Korea on Friday show that the country's consumer price index, a key gauge of inflation, rose 2.6% in July compared to the same month the year before. Core inflation, excluding volatile food and energy prices, came to 2.2%, while the index measuring 144 daily necessities rose 3%. Compared to the month before, the consumer price index was higher last month than in June, but core inflation remained the same as prices of petroleum jumped. In July, oil prices rose by 8.4% year-on-year, which is the biggest hike seen in nearly 2 years. A spokesperson from the agency attributed this to several factors.
Oil prices increased as a result of the fuel tax cuts being scaled back and global crude oil prices rising. The base effect of low oil prices last year could also have had an effect.
Prices of fresh produce continue to climb, particularly for fruit and vegetables, as a result of poor weather conditions such as the heavy rain affecting yields. The price of pears saw the biggest growth ever recorded as it surged by more than 150% year-on-year. Vegetables such as lettuce, spinach and cabbage saw sharp gains on month, prompting the Agricultural Ministry to respond with urgent measures. Speaking at a meeting to discuss these latest figures, the Vice Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs pledged to monitor the situation closely and strengthen on-site communication. The government has been supplying the market with up to 200 tons of cabbage per day since July 3rd, and plans to increase this to 250 tons by mid to late August to stabilize supply and demand. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
The strategy to securing high income status includes investment, infusion and innovation. Now, this is according to the World Bank, whose officials say South Korea is a classic example. My colleague Kim Bo-kyung covers the assessment.
The World Bank has come up with a 21st century playbook for high-quality growth for the countries hitting what's called the middle-income trap. This refers to a situation in which a middle-income country experiences systematic growth slowdowns, unable to take on the new economic structures needed to sustain high income levels. Usually, countries hit the trap at about 10% of annual U.S. GDP per person, around $8,000. The issue is also closely related to the global economy.
It's these emerging middle-income countries that have high shares of the global GDP. Once they start growing, they can pull up the rest of the global economy. It's these middle-income countries right now are 60% of global emissions. How they grow will matter, because if they grow in the way that they're not energy efficient and they don't lower carbon intensity of growth, there will be a global crisis.
The problem is that many middle-income countries face bigger challenges than before. Rapidly aging populations, high debt, rising protectionism, and the need to consider reducing emissions. Thus, the World Bank proposes its 3I strategy. Low-income countries need to focus on investment first, expanding investment in physical capital, education, and infrastructure firms. Once lower middle-income status is obtained, they need to adopt technologies from abroad and spread them across the economy. Innovation comes last. developing industrial structures and technical competencies to add value to and advance the global technology frontier. The same expert says South Korea is a standout example, as the country successfully went through the phases within a period of 40 years. South Korea worked on reforms to encourage investment, especially in education, asked large conglomerates, including Samsung, to infuse cutting-edge technologies into the production process, and then focused on frontier innovation, changing the economic course at the right time. Just taking a look at South Korea's case could be helpful for middle-income countries, but more could be done.
Is to have many more partnerships between leading Korean firms and emerging market firms, is to create these licensing and technology sharing relationships with other middle-income countries. Because I think that's going to be a channel that will be an important conduit for knowledge transfer. But the foundations of Korean development was education. And how did Korea manage to have full primary, full secondary, technical education, and how did they maintain quality? I think lessons for that and tailoring those ideas and working with policy makers in emerging economies would be very useful.
Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
And Korea's beauty exports are raking in profits and playing a pivotal part as small businesses working hand in hand with ODMs, manufacturers who design and produce products for many brands. Our business correspondent Lee Soo-jin explains.
At this factory, cosmetic products from more than 900 domestic and global beauty brands are produced each year. These include renowned global brands such as L'Oreal and Kiehl's, as well as rising domestic indie brands, Beauty of Joseon and Dalba.
We no longer have an off-season, and our production lines are constantly running at full capacity, producing 60 products in 1 minute, thanks to the growing demand for our technologies.
And this technology and knowledge of ODMs are exactly how beauty exports of SMEs were able to reach a record $3.3 billion for the first half of the year. ODMs like Hallmark Korea are often labeled as a chip foundry TSMC of the makeup industry because they not only manufacture products on behalf of companies, but also use their development knowledge to bring makeup ideas to life. Their impressive production capacity is also evident in the large tanks where blades are continuously mixing 30 to 40 ingredients at certain temperatures to ensure that the mixture remains smooth. But here's how their design and development knowledge is helping beauty SMEs grow.
Our R&D involves preemptively recognizing global beauty market trends and understanding what consumers want. 7% of our sales are continuously being invested in R&D and 30% of our employees are researchers.
ODM's active R&D investment is what makes them able to share their product design and development skills with SMEs that don't have the necessary capacity yet, allowing them to focus on marketing. By working with ODMs, SMEs can market a wide range of makeup products under their own brands. And the cosmetic knowledge of ODMs can be witnessed even in the most basic steps where they melt and mix ingredients that are in powder and oil form to create, in this case, sunscreens. It's also reflected here in the more complex steps of creating the most marketable shade for a lip tint, where the researcher measures and mixes different pigments in a specific proportion. And all of this is part of the larger process of collaborating with beauty SMEs to help them become competitive. The recent success of close collaborations with ODM companies like this is thus expected to lead to the growth of more indie beauty brands that will help continue the momentum of their exports. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea has extended an offer of assistance to North Korea on humanitarian grounds to better respond to a devastating river flood up north. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
Seoul's offer came just a few days after North Korea reported severe flood damage in cities and counties near the Amnokgang River. Korean Red Cross Secretary General Park Jong-sul announced the decision on Thursday on behalf of the government.
We are ready to provide emergency aid to the flood victims in North Korea, driven by humanitarian concerns and a sense of kinship. We look forward to a prompt response from the North.
The details of what could be sent are yet to be discussed, but all necessary procedures and funding will be covered by the government. A senior Unification Ministry official told reporters that the decision came as the government anticipates severe human casualties, even though Pyongyang hasn't announced details of the damage.
It is meaningful that the government made such a direct public offer to the North. Seoul may also be gauging the North's response this time, while at the same time sending a political message that it is not ignoring the plight of North Korean residents.
Earlier in the week, North Korean media reported that the regime's leader had made multiple visits to the affected areas and that more than 5,000 residents had been affected by the flood. Pundits say it's highly unlikely Pyongyang will respond to the offer given the recent circumstances with the ongoing propaganda war using balloons and loudspeakers. Seoul previously sent the message offering humanitarian aid during the pandemic in 2022, but the North declined to respond. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
On the international front, a historic exchange of prisoners took place between the West and Russia, involving 24 detainees on Thursday, following what pundits say were years of complex closed-door consultations. Our Park Gonu has details.
A historic prisoner exchange of 24 detainees between 7 Western countries, including the U.S. and Russia, was made on Thursday. That's the largest since the post-Soviet era. 16 people who were held in Russian detention were released to the West in exchange for 8 Russians. 3 U.S. citizens, including Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, were released under the deal. The swap is a result of months of negotiations between several countries involved, including the U.S., Germany, and Russia. The release of convicted Russian assassin Vadim Krasikov, who was serving a life sentence in Germany, was one of Russia's main requests and key to making the deal happen. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the airport to welcome the returning Russians, including Krasikov. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday thanked Washington's allies by calling it a feat of diplomacy.
The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined in difficult, complex negotiations at my request, and I personally thank them all again.
He added that the U.S. will continue to make efforts to free all wrongfully detained Americans around the world. Also on Thursday, former U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed the deal, raising doubts that a massive amount of money would have been paid to Russia. But the White House said that no such money was sent and restrictions were lifted to conclude the exchange. Park Gonu, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the U.S. and Israel have addressed fresh military deployments to bolster the latter's defense amid a fierce war of words with Iran, following the assassinations of several senior Hamas and Hezbollah members in Beirut and Tehran. Our Yoon Jin, that is, has the latest.
On Thursday, U.S. President Joe Biden spoke over the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The White House said that President Biden reaffirmed his commitment to Israel's security against all threats from Iran, including its proxy terrorist groups Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. The two leaders discussed efforts to protect Israel, including new defensive U.S. military deployments. Biden also stressed the need for de-escalation in the region. The call came urgently following the killing of senior Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut and the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in the Iranian capital of Tehran earlier this week. Iran and Hamas blame Israel for the assassination of Haniyeh, to which Israel has neither denied nor confirmed. Leading prayers at Haniyeh's funeral on Thursday, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei vowed revenge. And the Iranian military also warned Israel of retaliation, saying Israel's war crimes have evoked wrath. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu maintains that Israel will not succumb to any attacks by its enemies, having warned on Wednesday that any attacks will be responded to forcefully. In a televised statement, the Israeli leader warned citizens that challenging days are ahead, adding that the Israeli military is prepared for any scenario and that it will exact a heavy price for any aggression against Israel. The New York Times revealed on Thursday how Hania was killed during his visit to Tehran. Citing a number of Middle Eastern officials, the article said that an explosive device was covertly smuggled into a guest house in Tehran where Hania was staying. The bomb had been hidden about 2 months prior and detonated remotely when the Hamas leader was visiting Iran for the inauguration of the new president. Iran's threats of harsh punishment for Israel and Israel's warning of a forceful response to retaliatory actions raised concerns of tensions escalating in the Middle East. As Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah says, the war in Gaza has now entered a new phase. Yoon, Arirang News.
An appeals court in Montenegro has ruled in favor of a lower court's decision to deport disgraced co-founder of the failed Terraform Labs, Kwon Do-hyung, to South Korea. The ruling came on Thursday local time, with the court calling it legally binding. The timing of the extradition has yet to be announced. Kwon was arrested in Montenegro for using a fake passport. He currently faces charges of financial crimes here in South Korea and in the U.S. in relation to the implosion of digital currencies back in May 2022. Recent foreign media coverage has reignited interest in Korea's convenience stores, and there are many functions beyond those of simply selling tasty treats and daily essentials. Our An Sung-jin was out and about.
I'm standing here on the streets of Seoul, and one thing that stands out is that you can easily spot a handful of convenience stores on just one single block. I'll be walking through to see how many there are. The second one. So there are a lot of them around, which adds to convenience, but what makes them convenient when you step inside? They're more than a store where you can grab a quick snack. As the name suggests, convenience stores are easily accessible and provide services that are needed in everyday life. Not only can you pick up groceries, but convenience stores do foreign currency, allow you to pay your utility bills, print things off, and even send and receive packages.
Before, I had to go to the post office, which would be time-consuming and expensive. But with the convenience store nearby, it's way cheaper and more convenient to do so.
According to the Korea Association of Convenience Store Industry, there are more than 55,000 convenience stores across the country. This means that there are approximately 950 people in the country per store, making South Korea the most densely populated when it comes to convenience stores.
As a retail store close to customers by providing various services, convenience stores provide comfort for customers, while for franchise stores, this can increase their sales. For delivery services, the usage rate increases significantly every year, and once customers come for parcel services, it sometimes leads to the sale of other products as well.
Data from the Trade Ministry shows that convenience store sales rose by nearly 10% last year. One expert says that there are various reasons as to why that's the case.
Korean convenience stores run various promotions and limited time sales. They also have tables outside so customers can enjoy the drinks or snacks that they have bought. Alongside an increase in single-person households, since more of the younger generation want to live in the city, they don't have much living space, which also means buying things in smaller quantities.
As these stores appear more and more on dramas and social media, it's no longer just the locals who come and enjoy the convenience store experience.
Everybody knows about convenience stores and how it's got everything here. In Canada, convenience stores are kind of just basically this convenient. If I need it, I'll go, but it's not as important as it would be.
With less time but more on the to-do list, the rise in convenience stores reflects the fast-paced life in South Korea. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. It's forecast to rain down in most parts of Korea. Central regions could see 5 to 60 millimeters of rain, while heavy passing showers are in the forecast for southern parts of the country. Have an umbrella with you. And once it starts to rain, it could pound down. So if you're enjoying your summer getaway, be mindful of sudden downpours. The nighttime temperatures are going up each day, and the weather agency forecasts that the tropical nights will carry on at least 10 more days. So brace for more sweaty nights and days, and that rain will make it even feel hotter with that higher humidity. So please
take well care. Seoul gets up to 32 degrees Celsius, Jeju topping out at 34 degrees, Daegu, Gyeongju at 37 degrees Celsius. Strong sunshine should be beaming down on southern provinces when it does not rain. The intense heat shows no sign of easing up, but there could be occasional showers, so please keep an umbrella handy. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
Right, that ends our Friday afternoon newscast. Thank you for watching. Coming up next is our daily panel session.